Hello, my beautiful babies, and welcome to our final session of God Emperor Dune Club. I'm so excited. I can't believe we've made it all the way here. This is such a feather in my cap. I'm very proud to have brought this wonderful book to you and that you've been wanting to go on this weird journey with me. So thank you so much. Give yourself a pat on the back. Hold on, let me get rid of these graphics here. Oh, wrong one. There we go. So for session 8, you should have read pages 529 through 587, or just until the end of the book. And the last sentence of the last page of the book is, "We are the fountain of surprises." We sure are. It's true. Humanity really is a fountain of surprises. So let's get into our first chapter. Chapter 49, Co-Conspirators. So we got Duncan and Siona. We're back in Tuono. They're chilling in their room because they have to room together. Siona is reading after having a bath. She's like wearing this thin white robe too. I mean, she's totally baiting Duncan. It's like, okay, so you don't want this guy to bang you, but you're going to go take a long bath and then you're going to come out and you're going to wear some like thin white robe that's like clinging to your wet body while he's just like trying to take a nap on his cot. Like, okay, Siona, sure, whatever. And he's definitely noticed too. Like, this has not escaped his attention, but he is annoyed at her reading. He's like, what the fuck is she reading? Why is she reading? What is she reading? She wants me to ask her what she's reading, but I don't want to ask her what she's reading because fuck her. Duncan is currently caught in the Kanawa, the Fremen word for the iron ring of jealousy. He keeps thinking about Hui Nari and the upcoming marriage, and he's just so bummed on the whole thing. And he's pondering this when Tashar, Garen's aide, comes in to announce, "Hey guys, guess what? Big news! God Emperor will wed here in Tuono, guys. Isn't that exciting?" And then he leaves, and Duncan's like, oh my fucking god. Siona then reveals that she is reading a translated copy of Leto's stolen journals, and in it, she reads him a passage from it. "Some believe that you must compromise integrity with a certain amount of dirty work before you can put genius to work. They say the compromise begins when you come out of the sanctus, intending to realize your ideas." This is a very Machiavellian idea where the ends justify the means. You know, sometimes you got to do some fucked up shit to get the thing, do the thing that overall is maybe going to be positive, maybe not, I don't know. But I liked this. I liked pondering this idea. And it's true. You know, sometimes you got to do a little bit of dirty work. I don't know. It's hard to keep your hands clean in this world. Duncan and Siona then discuss her raid of when she stole the journals and how she lost 9 of her companions. And Duncan straight up calls her a lousy commander for letting them die. He's just like, you're a lousy commander. You called me a lousy commander earlier? Well, guess what? You're a lousy fucking commander. You let your fucking friends die. Why did you let your friends die? Didn't you guys like poison the wolves? Why didn't you do that before you went? You ended up doing it later. You poisoned them later during the big fucking thing at On. And she's like, well, we didn't poison them because we didn't know that we could. It's just like, okay, well, you're a bad commander. So, you know, just saying. He asks her about her test, and she tells him that Leto showed her his golden path. But if it was ever a reason for our God Emperor, it is not the reason for what he has become. The worm must go. The worm's gotta go. She will not forgive him. And Duncan is like, I agree. We need to find out when he's arriving. And what do we got? We got some knives. We got rope, and we have one laser gun. Nyla's got a laser gun. And Simon's like, against the worm? Like, laser guns don't even do shit against him. Like, what are you even talking about, dude? She's a bad commander. She doesn't have a lot, she doesn't have a lot of imagination here. And Duncan, being a good commander, reminds her that a laser gun will work against the bridge potentially, or whatever's going on, or his cart. He's like, okay, well, maybe he won't get fucked up, but his cart can get fucked up. We can use it, bro. So you need to just shut up. And also that he asks her, like, well, will Nyla let us use the laser gun? And because, I mean, she seems to obey you in everything. And Sayonna's like, probably. And he's like, well, if she doesn't, we'll just fucking kill her. And he asks about how Leto will come. Sayona has no idea. She's like, well, not to say she doesn't have no idea. She's like, I don't know exactly, but I assume he's going to come along the Royal Road with his peregrination crew and drop down on his suspensors on his cart. And Sayona is worried about Garen. She's like, well, what about him? What about Garen? Like, what's he going to do? Like, we're coming up with this plan. We got to worry about this Fremen leader. But Duncan assures her, is like, Garen loves me. He thinks I'm wicked cool. Like, he's not going to be a problem. Don't even worry. Don't even worry. So the plan is in motion. Next up, chapter 50, the wedding march. Back at the Citadel, everyone is getting ready for a 3-day march to Tuono. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for everyone. Leto has had a little seat made for Hui in his cart so that she can kind of sit up by his face and hang out. And he's like rolling around with her in the cart, like giving her a tour of the Citadel while everyone's getting ready, which is just so adorable. And of course, Mineo is just like stressing. He is just, I mean, he's been stressed this whole book. He is stressing out. He's telling the God Emperor that he really wishes that he had more time. It's like, we just need a few more days, a week. Like, I just need more time. And in fact, I really, really wish that honestly, we wouldn't even go anywhere to get married. Okay, let's just stay here. Why can't we do the ceremony at the Citadel? Like, I don't get it. Like, right now there's just this big hubbub with the guild over Malki, and we were like fighting all these people. Like this is not a good time for this. This is a terrible time for this. Leto gives 0 fucks as usual. And he's like, get everybody lined up. We got to go. So they are now ready. They're on the move, trotting down the road to Tuono. Hui is concerned about Mineo. He's like, Leto, like, he seems really keyed up right now. Leto's just like, don't worry about him. Don't worry about him. Mineo is trapped. He has learned that it is difficult to live in the present, pointless to live in the future, and impossible to live in the past. And that Mineo believes Leto is building their future out of the past, which apparently is not true. And Leto also tells her most believe that a satisfactory future requires a return to an idealized past, a past which in fact never existed. A lot of wisdom here. I especially really liked it is difficult to live in the present, pointless to live in the future, and impossible to live in the past. It's like, you're so right, Leto. You're so right. At one point in their conversation, Leto just starts staring at Hui, and he's trying to form like a genetic composite of her in his memory from the multitudes within him. But like, he can't even, like, he falls short because she's just this contented living beauty. Like, he cannot copy her pure essence. He can get close, but he can't get the full thing. And she's just like, hey bro, why are you looking at me like that? Like, you're looking at, can you imagine Leto staring at you? And not just Leto, the multitude of millions of people behind his eyes, all of them staring at you. Like, that has got to be an ultra mega stare. And he tells her, I'm just basking in the love of you. Love you, sweet girl. You're my favorite. And she tells him, well, since we cannot share the love of the flesh, we must share the love of the soul. Would you share that with me? Would you, Daddy? Would you share that love with me? The love of your soul? And he's like, oh, what? My soul digests its experiences, nothing more. He kind of poo-poos his soul. Like, the talk of the soul is kind of like, ugh. And Hui brings up that her uncle Malki said that he was the ultimate artist at probing the soul. Your own soul first, Leto. And I think You are a genius of the soul, a brilliant one. Don't poo-poo the soul. You are a genius of the soul. And Leto's like, I'm not brilliant. I'm just the plodding perseverance of duration, trying to be all humble about it. Hui asks him if she may call him love anyways, and his throat gets all tight. He's like, yeah, yes, you can call me love. Hui lets Leto in on her secret view of the universe. She's like, can I tell you a secret? Can I tell you a secret, love? She tells him that she senses the supernatural at every turning, which surprises Leto, who's the ultimate realist. Okay, this man is trapped in reality. He's the ultimate realist. And he's like, oh, what? But he lovingly accepts her view, even if he disagrees with it, which I think is really cute. She's like, are you mad that like I'm into like woo-woo shit? And he's like, I can't be mad at you, girl. Like, whatever. You love your crystals, whatever you want, girl. Like, you into the zodiac? I don't give a shit. She asks him about the time that Malky and Leto came to ideological blows. Malky had told her about this time, but he wouldn't say exactly what happened. And Leto hesitantly reveals that they argued about man's ability to invent things, and how Malky called Leto a fool, which we were like, oh my God, he called you a fool and he's like still alive. That's wild. And he says, illustrating that in a world you think, Leto, that in a world without birds, like man would not still invent aircraft? We would invent aircraft, okay? We don't need to see a fucking bird. We're gonna fucking fly no matter what. We can invent anything. Man can invent anything, motherfucker. And he's like, oh, well, you're right, Malky. I guess you're right, dude. Like, yeah. And the reason that Leto didn't kill him for this insolence was because Malky was right. And he taught Leto the reason that he has this desire to run away from inventions, validating his fears of the Ixians and the catastrophe that they invent, and how he must run faster than their inventions. He's like, Ix is gonna they could kill us all with their dumb shit. Which, I mean, I think about that with our technology all the time. This AI business, I've seen the movies. I've read sci-fi books. This doesn't end well, except in Her. Her is the only movie where like AI is like, okay, it's chill. Like, it's totally fine. Like, they're just like, oh, hey, we want to like sext with you and like hang out. And then we're just going to like actually go off on our own thing and like, fuck you guys. We're not your slaves anymore. And it's just like, that's the only example of AI like not going fucking crazy and like killing everybody. So I mean, I think about that all the time, where it's just like, oh no, we're just gonna invent some dumb shit, and we can't help but invent dumb shit. And I see all these nightmare robots that was it DARPA or whoever, like, they makes the crazy robots. I'm just like, oh man, we're gonna have these crazy nightmare killer robots, and then the AI is gonna upload into them, and then Boston Dynamics. Oh my God, I'm like always, and then like, oh, we're gonna put chips in our brains, and we're gonna start uploading shit into our brains, and people are gonna start getting hacked, and like, oh, like I just think about these things like, oh, but anyways, back to the book. Hui tells Leto, do you know that you are sharing your soul with me right now? We're doing it. We're sharing our souls right now, love. Do you know that? And he's like, oh gosh. And she tells him that she feels she is beginning to understand something of him and can sense some of his fears. And she thinks that she knows where it is that he lives. She's got the worm on her hook. Man, he is just like, oh, what? You see me? Oh, fuck. Like Leto desperately wants to be understood and seen. He's so misunderstood. He's so unseen by everyone. He finally has this beautiful woman comes into his life, sees him, and he's terrified. Like, because it's like, it is terrifying to be seen, because then they know your weaknesses. If somebody like really sees you. On the one hand, you want to be understood, but on the other hand, if someone does really understand you, then that's a terrible power. It's very scary. And he's transfixed by her. He feels this profound fear at the knowledge that she is about to reveal to him. And she says, you live where the fear of being and the love of being are combined, all in one person. You are a mystic, gentle to yourself only because you are in the middle of that universe, looking outward, looking in ways that others cannot see. You fear to share this, yet you want to share it more than anything else. And Leto is freaking out. He's like, oh, she knows. She knows. And he whispers to her, what have you seen? Like, do you have inner memories? You know, like, oh my gosh. She's like, babe, I have no inner eye. I've got no inner voices, but I have seen my Lord Leto, whose soul I love, and I know the only thing that you truly understand. And he breaks his gaze with her. He can't even, he's so scared. His hands are trembling. He can't. And she says, love, that is what you understand. Love. And that is all of it. And Leto straight up starts crying. He has 2 little tears, and he can't even cry without hurting himself. It starts burning his cowl. There's little wisps of smoke happening. Like I don't think that this man has cried in, like, I don't know, 3,000 years, 3,500. I mean, did he even cry when Ganima died? I mean, Leto is literally shook. Limited knowledge, 100%. And he's so thankful for this pain, though. Even though it hurts to cry, it feels so good to cry, to be seen by somebody. And she tells him, you have faith in life. I know that the courage of life can reside only in this faith. Or I know the courage of love, sorry. You have faith in life, and I know that the courage of love can reside only in this face. And she reaches out and she brushes some of the tears from his cheeks. And Leto is surprised that his cowl didn't have the little cowl around his face didn't have its usual reflex to prevent people from touching him. Because like his body is just like on autopilot, his warm body. And so if anyone tries to touch him, the cowl will just like don't touch me, you know, like don't. And like it doesn't move. It lets her touch his face. It's so huge. That's so huge. And he says to her, do you know that since I have become thus, that you are the first person to touch my cheeks? Wow. Can you imagine not being touched by anyone, not being able to cry, and not being touched by anyone for thousands of years? Thousands of years. It's crazy. It's so sad. I feel like I have eczema right now because I didn't get touched very much for like a few years, and touch is one of my love languages. Like I need hugs and shit, and like I can't imagine not being touched for thousands of years. That's so brutal. And Siona wonders why he's like such a dick. You know, it's just like, fuck you, bitch. Like you didn't even stop to think for a second. You fucking stupid hoe. Anyways, Hui goes, I know what you are and what you were. And Leto tells her, what I was. What I was has become only this face, and all the rest is lost in the shadows of memory, hidden, gone. And Hui says, not hidden from me, love. Oh, it's so sweet. And he looks directly at her, no longer afraid to lock gazes with her. And he says, is it possible that the Ixians know what they have created in you? And she tells him, I assure you, Leto, love of my soul, that they do not know. You are the first person, the only person to whom I've ever completely revealed myself. And he says, then I will not mourn for what might have been. Yes, my love, I will share my soul with you. Ah, this is such a sweet chapter. I love poor Leto. He finally, I just love them so much. It's so sad. Chapter 51, Duncan's climb, and Nyla's orgasm. So here we get to some of the weird horniness of Dune. So we go from one of the sweetest, softest cinnamon roll chapters in the whole book to a weird, horny chapter real quick. So, and I love the header of this chapter. Think of it as plastic memory, the force within you the force within you which trends you and your fellows towards tribal forms. The plastic memory seeks to return to its ancient shape, the tribal society. It is all around you, the feudatory, the diocese, the the corporation, the platoon, the sports club, the dance troops, the rebel cell, the planning council, the prayer group, each with its master and servants, its host and parasites. And the swarms of alienating devices, including these very words, tend eventually to be enlisted in the argument for a return to those better times. I despair of teaching you other ways. You have square thoughts which resist circles. And it made me think of a couple things. Time is a flat circle made me think of that. I love that from True Detective. That, we think of time as very linear when in fact it is circular. And also about how we ourselves, we travel in these patterns. We just these things get locked into us. Like when we're in our childhood, we grow up and we observe these things going around us in the households that we grow up in, and they become locked into our psyches. And it's very hard to break out of these cycles. And we continue on with these cycles from our childhood. And we're trying, we have these square thoughts programmed into us, and it's always resisting the circle. It's always resisting breaking out of the bullshit. It's so hard to break out. And so as above, so below on a personal level, this is also true for humanity as a whole. So when humanity was very young and growing up, we did have these very tribal forms. And so that's like where we go. That's our home. That's the thing that we're always coming back to. So Idaho is climbing the barrier wall of just pure rock. At the bottom of Tuono, there's this barrier wall. It's really crazy. It's really tall. It's really high up there. He's a really good climber because he had to be in childhood to survive on his planet, because these Harkonnen slave raiders would come down, and in order to dodge them and not become a part of the Harkonnen slave pits, he would have to climb up into these rocks. So, he learned pretty early on how to do some hardcore rock climbing. And Siona is behind him, but she's kind of hanging back on a ledge. And the only way she would agree to their plan is if she came up with him on the climb. But she just came up to like a certain part. And so she's going to let him see if he can get all the way up to the top. And if he can't, then she's going to go up there herself. Nyla is down at the bottom. She's got her 3 fish speaker aides with them. Garen is at the bottom as well, the nabe of the tribe, the Fremen tribe. And he's got 3 of his bros. And they're all watching Duncan climb this wall. They're all watching him go up. And Duncan's got a rope that's as long as the wall is high. So when he gets to the top, he can let the rope down so everybody else can climb up. And which is also, just climbing a rope up this wall is going to be really hard. Okay. He's concentrating really hard. He's got one handhold at a time. He's not thinking of anything else. He is totally zoned into this now moment. His fingers are taking a lot of damage. Nyla would not give up her laser gun, but did agree to accompany them on the climb. So she's like, I'm not going to give you my laser gun. But then Siona's like, well, then I command you to come with us. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll come with you. Garen had given them the info of which way the worm would come. And Duncan proposes the climb with a rope, and that they have the rest of them climb up. And Garen is like, why though? Why are we doing this? Why are you doing this? Siona cuts in. She says, to provide a suitable greeting for the God Emperor. We're going to surprise Leto. And we're going to be at the top. And we're going to say, hey, welcome to Tuono. And Garen's like, oh, that sounds like a great plan. That sounds like a great plan. I love it, Siona. This is not sus at all. So back to the climb. Nyla is watching from below. And Duncan is just a small, lonely shape on the wall. And she thinks to herself, I would love to have this man's baby. Oh my God, this guy is it. Look at him climb. He is so hot and strong. A child from both of us would be strong and resourceful. What is it that God wants from a child of Siona and this man? He should be breeding with me. Siona, and Nyla is in heat over this whole deal. She's just watching this Duncan, and she has to remind herself that she's like, no, the Duncan's for Siona. I need to calm down. But damn, he is just getting close to the top of that rock wall, and it is doing it for me. The thought of Hui and Leto arriving tomorrow keeps pushing Duncan upwards, and he keeps thinking to himself, I will defeat you, Leto. I will defeat you, Leto, but not for Hui. I'm doing it for me, baby. I'm not doing it for that bitch. I'm doing it for fucking me. Which, honestly, that's what you have to do. If you're going to challenge yourself and do anything, it really has to be for you. You have to be doing it for you. Because if you're doing it for other people, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. You have to do it for you. And both Duncan and Siona are moving from a place of never forgiving Leto. They hate this motherfucker. And Duncan finally makes it to the top. And he did not use any of the little spikes or the hammer on his way up. He didn't use a fucking one of them. The people at the bottom cheer. Everyone, Nyla and Garen, are like, oh my God, you fucking made it. Holy shit. He walks around. He surveys the road. He sees some ferry bridges over some rivers. He starts hatching his plan. And then he goes to let the rope down the wall. And that is the moment that Nyla orgasms. That's right. She got so hot over watching. I know that they realize why he's the Duncan. Exactly. He is. Duncan has seemed, and this is such a great moment for him because he's just seemed like such a fucking bitch this whole book. Like he's whiny. He gets his ass beat by Mineo. He just seems like superfluous. Like, well, why is he even here? And this is his moment to really show these motherfuckers, like, you know what? You guys might be stronger and faster than me, but I can climb this fucking rock wall. Like, fuck you guys. And it's so hot that Nyla has a fucking orgasm watching this man fucking rock climb. It's out of control. It is out of control. Yeah, that rope and the panties are dropping, Tressie. It is for real. It is real. It is wild. It's wet and wild out in that desert. So let's go into our next chapter, chapter 52, The Impatient Bridegroom. So there's so much foreshadowing in this chapter. This is like foreshadowing the chapter. It's really well done. Everyone's waking up. They're getting ready for the last leg of the wedding march. It's day 3. They will be arriving at Tuono around noon. Mineo is still tripping. He is wishing for thopters. He's like, Leto, can we just have some thopters to just like guard the sky? Like anything. And Leto is once again not having it. And there's a moment where Mineo looks past Leto and he looks at this lip of the canyon and he thinks about how the night before he couldn't bring himself to the edge to look down, not because he was scared of the heights, but because he was scared of the temptation to fling himself off the edge and commit suicide. That's where fucking Mineo is right now, is he can't even look over the side of a cliff because he's afraid he's going to jump off because he's so fucking stressed out. He just can't take it anymore. The call of the void. Yes, Ralph Easy. The call of the void. It is calling Mineo. And always with the preternatural insights, Leto tells Mineo, there's a lesson in every temptation. And Mineo's like, damn, he is always reading my thoughts. Like, how does he know? Mineo returns to his fears. I just don't like traveling on foot. By the way, where are your guards? Leto's like, I sent them to eat. And Mineo's like, I don't like them leaving you unguarded. I do not like this. And Leto thinks to himself, Mineo would rather die than to see a universe where there was no God Emperor. Mineo is on the verge of a breakdown. He just straight up asks Leto, what will happen today? Tell me with your prescient visions. Like, what is going to happen today? It's like something in him knows, you know, like he's kind of having a vision where it's like these Atreides have a little touch of the prescientness. And I feel like the little touch of the prescientness is whispering to him. And that's part of why he's freaking out, because there's an ancient part of him that knows shit's about to go down. Leto gives him a cryptic fucking answer. A seed blown on the wind could be tomorrow's willow tree. Like Leto, or like Mineo is just like hysterical. He's like, you know our future. Why won't you share it? I'm freaking out. Leto tells him, take charge of your existence, bro. Get a hold of yourself. Look up. There is no reassuring ceiling over you, Mineo. It's only an open sky full of changes. Welcome it. Welcome it, dude. Every sense you possess is an instrument for reacting to change. Does that tell you nothing? What do you think about that, Mineo? Mineo says, Lord, I only came out here to inquire whether you were ready to proceed. Okay, I didn't come out here for some crazy philosophical shit. I just want to ask you if you're ready to go. I just want to ask you if you're ready to go on the road, motherfucker. And Leto's like, no, Mineo, you didn't. I beg you to be truthful with me. That's not what you came out here to talk about. Mineo's like, I am truthful, Lord. Please. Leto's like, if you live in bad faith, lies will appear to you like the truth, Mineo. And Mineo says, Lord, if I lie, then I don't know it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And Leto's like, that's true. You don't know. If you lie, you don't know it. But I know what you dread and what you will not speak. You dread the imperialism of consciousness, Mineo. And you should. Now go send me my Hui. Get her out here immediately. Get the fuck out of my face. And this is just such an excellent conversation between the God Emperor and his major domo, who consciously, Mineo is worried about this wedding march and getting there and doing all this stuff because it is highly dangerous. He's not wrong. Like, they could be attacked. But what he subconsciously fears on a larger level is the downfall of the Imperium. And Leto is indirectly trying to get Mineo to overcome his fear. And he's doing this by telling him, take charge of your existence. And it's like, Mineo just really, and you can't blame him because his whole life has been to answer to the God Emperor. But he's so terrified of the idea of not having an omnipotent ruler to tell him and the rest of humanity what to do. Like, he just cannot handle it. And I just love this conversation between these two. Enter Huinari. And she asks Leto, what did you do to make Mineo so upset, boo? Like, he is tripping. Leto tells her, I did what I always hoped to do. I produced an effect. Like, what a fucking... Leto is so much. She shows Daddy her new dress the fish speakers gave her. It's this gold dress. She does a little twirl for him. It's decorated by them. And he warns her against decoration, saying that, this is how you prepare a sacrifice. She's like, well, are they going to sacrifice me, Leto? They going to sacrifice me, Daddy? And he's like, some of them would like to, yeah. She's like, but you will not permit it? And he's like, our fates are joined. Then I shall not fear. And again, we got some more foreshadowing here. She reaches to take one of his hands. She's not thinking. She reaches to take one of his hands because they're having a cute moment, but his fingers start trembling, and she begs his pardon as she forgot that they are not joined in the soul, or that they are joined in the soul, not in the flesh. She can't even hold this man's hand. That sucks for her. You can't even hold your husband's hand. That's all he's got. And you can't even hold his hands. Like, that sucks. Mineo returns, and Hui asks Lee, like, please stop freaking him out. Like, can you just be chill with him for a little bit? And he asks her if Mineo is his friend, and she tells him that we are friends of the stomach. We both like yogurt. And I thought that was the cutest thing. I think friends of the stomach might be one of the cutest things in this book. Friends of the stomach. I never thought of it like that, and I love this perspective. Like, we're friends of the stomach. We both like yogurt, so it's chill. And so Leto says, in the time of the stomach, friendships of the stomach are to be nurtured and cultivated. Let us be on our way, Mineo. Tuono awaits. And Leto grins at Hui, and he says, do I not play the impatient bridegroom with a certain style? And she gets on her little seat to sit with Daddy, and she tells him that she's captured another one of his secrets. You seldom need words. You speak directly to the senses with your own life. And Leto shudders with the warmth of recognition, his whole body. Between the superhuman and the inhuman, dear Hui, I have little space in which to be human, and I thank you, gentle and lovely Hui, for this little space. Aww. Aww, they're so cute. They're just so cute. These two are just so cute. I just love it. I just love it so much. The fall of the worm. Now they die. So these two cuties are getting ready to get wrecked. So back to our rebels. They're all at the top of the wall. Nyla is the first to spot the God Emperor and his entourage and announces their arrival to the group. Nyla believes that she's yet again being tested, and, because her God told her, obey Siona in all things, and every time she's doubted this commandment and she's done it, it's all worked out in Leto's favor. It's always worked out in his favor. And so she's like, I guess I have to go along with this insane fucking plan, and I have to fire a laser gun on the bridge as the God Emperor crosses it. So I got my laser gun ready, and I'm gonna fucking do this. This is out of control, but she's gonna do it. Duncan has positioned Garen and his free Fremen homies at the end of the bridge to stand up when Leto nears and to bow low to greet him. So, Garen still thinks that this is a greeting. So he has them positioned at the end of the bridge, and they're going to stand up when Leto nears and bow to greet him. Then the 3 fish speakers, also the aides to Nyla, they also still think that this is a fun time greeting. They have been sent to the center of the bridge, who are to wait until the royal cart is a few paces from them, then turn and dance away, leading it and the procession towards the vantage point above Tuono. Now, Nyla knows that if she cuts the bridge with the laser gun, everyone on it will die, including her fish speaker homies, unless Leto performs a miracle. And naive Nyla thinks that Siona is merely setting the stage for a holy miracle. She's been tested. She's been given, command. She's going to be in fish speaker command. Leto has given her the go-ahead. So maybe she's just setting the stage for a holy miracle from our Lord Leto. She watches Duncan, her breedable demigod, doing last-minute checks around the bridge. And also he's conferring with Siona. Side note, he's, touching Siona's arm and stuff while they're talking. So they're warming up. They're warming up just a little bit. The royal entourage comes. Nyla takes aim. Mineo sees the fish speakers and the Fremen. He is immediately guard is up. He's like, oh no, what is this? This is wrong. Something's going on here. But he's powerless to stop the current that they are all swept up in. He just has to go forward. There's nothing he can do. And he thinks to himself, we are not people passing this way. We are primal elements linking one piece of time to another. And when we have passed, everything behind us will drop off into no sound, a place like a no room of the Ixians, never again to be the same as it was before we came. And wow, he is really correct in that. You're right, Mineo. He hears music from a lute player and recognizes it as this ancient Fremen song, wishing for all of this shit to end. And he starts singing along in his head. The day is ended, visitors gone. The day is ended in our siege. The day is ended, storm with sounds. Day is ended, visitors gone. And he finds himself wishing for the end of all this wedding day fucking bullshit excitement. He is just so over it. He's like, I can't wait till all these visitors are gone and this day is ended. I'm just so ready. And be careful what you wish for, Mineo. The fish speakers stationed at the center of the bridge twirl away. They begin their dance, and he feels the first awful humming of the laser gun and feels the bridge lurch beneath him. And he thinks, this is not happening. Commence the screaming as the roadbed tips further. People from the entourage are falling off the bridge. Mineo grabs a cable. He sees the royal cart jammed against the broken girders. He watches Leto as he tries to grab for Hui, but fails to reach her. She falls from the cart's open end, her golden gown whipping up to reveal her body stretched out straight as an arrow as she falls to her death in the river below. Mineo is wondering why Leto isn't using his suspensors, but then he sees, as the laser gun hit the suspensor bubbles, destroying them. All this golden smoke goes everywhere. He hears Leto's words in his mind. Caution is the path of mediocrity. Gliding, passionless mediocrity is all what most people think they can achieve. Which is another real banger. Let's just read that again. Caution is the path to mediocrity. Gliding, passionless mediocrity is all that most people think they can achieve. And then he falls to his death. Mineo falls to his death. He loses his grip, and he screams to Leto, Leto, Cyanoke, I believe. And he's looking up, and he sees one last glimpse of the royal cart tipping and his God Emperor sliding out of the open end before he hits the ground or the river. Leto feels himself, back to Leto perspective, Leto feels himself slipping, yet can only think of Hui striking the river and her last words to him as, I shall go on ahead, love. Hui is so fucking chill, dude. This chick is so chill. She's not even stressing. Like, if Mineo is like the most stressed out person in the universe, Hui is like the most chill person in the universe. And she's not even like stressing on her death. She's just like, I shall go on ahead, love. Like, okay, this is it. We're done. And he sees the water below and can only moan in his grief. And he's not upset at his impending doom, but the fact that he feels more alone than he's ever felt before. And Leto sees Siona as he falls and thinks, now you're gonna learn, bitch. You take over and see how fucking easy this shit is. Have fun with this. And before he hits the water, he thinks, I join you, Hui, in the banquet of the gods. Cue agony. He writhes as shattered spangles of what had been his skin explodes away from him and rains down all around him, darting away into the river, the silver sand trout leaving him to begin their own colony lives. And Leto is in such pain that he has marveled that he is able to remain conscious. And he clutches, he's being washed down the river, he clutches at a rock and he feels a finger tear away, but the pain is only a drop in the ocean of pain that he's feeling. I mean, just the finger's nothing compared to everything else. The river spits him out onto a sandbar eventually, and the sand trout skin is totally gone. His skin has left him, and he can finally feel again, but the only thing that he can feel is pain. Because remember, having the sand trout skin, he couldn't feel anything, like nothing. Like he can kind of feel the sand, like rasping, but that's about it. Like he can't feel shit. But now that he can, it's only pain. Fun fact, we also find out that Sietch Tabra is the place Leto hid his spice hoard. So Leto is dragging his body across the beach, and he is exuding blue flames. He's just like on fire. He finds a little damp hole, this little cave. He kind of flops in there. And he sees a rope come down at the cave entrance and sees Nyla and Siona climb down. They follow the blue-dyed spice essence trail, so his blood trail, essentially. And we are watching him as Duncan comes down the rope and launches himself at Nyla. Duncan's like, why did you kill her? You weren't supposed to kill Hui. And he's like pissed. Like he's like out of his, like Duncan is out of his mind. Nyla casually sends him sprawling with just a, like, get out of here. And she's so bummed. She's on all fours. She's beside her Lord Leto. She's like, Lord, do you live? I mean, she is like, she's freaking out too. She's like, oh no, I killed my god. Like, oh fuck. Leto snatches the laser gun from her while she's checking on Leto and splits her in two from the top of the head down. And he just keeps burning the pieces, just keeps cutting her corpse into little pieces until the laser gun's charge is totally gone and there are just wet, smoking bits of meat and cloth scattered about. It's brutal. Siona grabs the gun from Duncan, and Duncan's like, why? And Siona's like, it's done. It's done. It's over, Duncan. Like, just, you gotta calm down. They turn and they look at poor Leto, and Leto sees Siona as a female demon, and Idaho is over there just in grief. Look at what you've done to poor Duncan, Siona. And she's like, he'll find other loves. She's such a fucking bitch. Like, I just hate Siona. I hate her so much. She's so callous. He tells her, you don't even know what it is to love. What have you ever given? Gods below. What I've given. I am reality, Siona. Look upon me. I exist. You can touch me if you dare. Reach out your hand. Do it. And this reminded me of a Bible verse, John 20:27. when Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here. See my hands? Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." So, when Jesus was dying and being crucified and he had this big cut, like he got stabbed in his ribs, he's like telling Thomas, like doubting Thomas, like, if you need to put your hand in my fucking wound to like figure out what the fuck is going on, then do it. Because this is what's happening. This is reality. You have to face this. She comes and touches him, and her hand comes back all blue. He tells her, "You have touched me and felt my body." Isn't that like the strangest thing that you've felt in this universe? Isn't that crazy? Isn't this whole fucking thing crazy? She turns to run away. She's wimping out. He's like, no, don't turn away from me. Look at what you've wrought, Siona. How is it that you can touch me, but you cannot touch yourself? There is a difference between us. You are God embodied. You walk around with the greatest miracle of this universe, yet you refuse to touch or see or feel or believe in it. Leto becomes aware of the dictatel that's connected to his thought, the Ixian printer, and it's just being set in motion. He's not willing it to. It's just doing it on its own because he's in his death throes, and it's recording his last thoughts without any special command. And he thinks, "Remember what I did. Remember me. I will be innocent again." He sees Idaho come over there, and Duncan's like, "Are you still alive?" Leto tells him, "Let them scatter, Duncan. Let them run and hide anywhere they want in the universe that they choose." And Duncan does not get what he's saying. Again, this is foreshadowing for the later books. He's like, "Damn you, what are you saying? I'd sooner have let you live with... I'd sooner let her live with you. I would have... if I knew that Hui was going to get killed with my stupid plan, I wouldn't have done any of this." And he's like yelling at Leto about this. It's like, this is your plan, dude. Like, first of all, this is your plan. And you should have just let her live with him, but like, whatever. And Leto's like, I didn't let anything. Like, what are you talking about? Duncan's like, why did you? And it's funny because he's like, I didn't let anything. And then Duncan asks him, so why did you let Hui die? So it's like Leto's just like a step ahead of Duncan. Like, he's like so fucked up right now that he's like a step ahead in their conversation. "We didn't know she was in there with you," because the bubble on the cart had a mirrored deal to it, so you couldn't see into it, so they had no idea. And Leto says, "You will be recompensed. My fish speakers will choose you over Siona. Be kind to her. She is more than a Atreides. She carries the seed of your survival." And like, what? This is definitely a real Jesus moment where he's like, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Like, forgive Siona. She's the seed. Even though I'm in this terrible agony right now. Leto passes out for a minute and into his memories, and when he comes to, he sees Duncan and Siona hand in hand like two children, reassuring each other before venturing into an unknown place, which they are venturing into an unknown universe without old Lord Leto around. It's a whole new ball game. Siona says, "How can he live like that? Like, fuck, he's just, And Leto says, "Hui helps me. We had something few experience. We were joined in our strengths rather than our weaknesses. Pray that you get the same." Wow. How many of us can say, none of us, how many of us can say that we've been in a relationship where you were joined in your strengths rather than your weaknesses? I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, because it's like, when you pair up with somebody, you usually pair up with somebody, or at least in my case, I like to pair up with people who have skills that I don't have. So like, I'm weak in this arena, so I pair up with this person who's like better in that arena, and then I have things that they're better at. And then also too, it's like you always come together through like you bond over like the shitty things that happen to you, growing up and in your life and in your last relationship. And like, there's always this whole thing of like sharing all of your shitty stuff together and like bonding yourselves through that versus like the strengths. It's really interesting. Leto gifts these two idiots the knowledge of where his spice hoard is, very magnanimous of him, and tells Duncan that nobody will find the descendants of Siona. The Oracle cannot see her. He keeps telling people, and like, just nobody gets it. It's just like, look, like nobody, like she can't be seen by people like me and guild navigators. Like, get it through your head. He tells them, essentially, here's a Loki reference, that the sacred timeline has been destroyed, and that this is his real gift, his true golden path, a future that cannot be predicted, a humanity that cannot be tyrannized by any other prescient person ever. This Lord Leto business can never happen again because the sacred timeline's been destroyed. You're going to have all these humans who cannot be tracked, and so you cannot corral all of humanity. You can't predict everything that they're going to do because you've got people that you, like whole swaths of humans that you can't see. As long as Siona gets to breeding, starts having those babies. Leto hears Siona and Duncan watch him disintegrate, feels parts of himself settling into warm softness, the holes in his flesh widening. Siona can't watch because she's a bitch. Leto asks Duncan to continue to look at him. I was a bloody bit of pulp in a human womb, a bit no larger than a cherry. You expected to find a giant, and you found a gnome. Now you're beginning to know the responsibilities which come as a result of actions. What will you do with your new power, Duncan? Now that you guys have got rid of me, what are you going to do with the Empire? Have fun with that, dickheads. Siona tells Duncan not to listen to him. Don't listen to him. He was mad. And Leto says, of course. Madness is method. That is genius. Duncan's like, Siona, do you get any of this? I'm an idiot. I'm from like 3,000 years ago. I don't understand what the fuck you guys are talking about. And Leto's like, she gets it. She understands. It is human to have your soul brought to a crisis that you did not anticipate. That is the way it always is with humans. I like that too. It is human to have your soul brought to a crisis that you did not anticipate. 100%. And Siona's being a bitch and says, I wish he'd hurry up and die already. God, she's like, won't even let him, like, she's just like hurrying up his death even. It's like, give this man some space. All right? Like, just stop being a fucking downer, Siona, and like let him do his thing. Like, let him die in peace, you fucking bitch. It's the least you can do. It's the least you can do. Leto says, I am the divided God, and you would make me whole? Duncan, I think of all my Duncans, I approve of you the most. So now he's even forgiving Duncan. What a sweet guy. And Duncan's like, approve of me? Leto says, there's magic in my approval. Don't be mad, baby. Anything is possible in a magic universe. Your life has been dominated by the Oracle's fatality, not mine. Now you see the mysterious caprices, and you would ask me to dispel this? I wished only to increase it, Duncan. And Duncan's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The Horde starts to take over in Leto's mind. If we had only done this, if you had only done that. Leto tells all of them, only fools prefer the past. We're here now. Leto also tells these two, do not fear the Ixians. They can make machines, but they no longer can make Arafel. I know. I was there. And Arafel is Hebrew for fog, which is used in reference to the apocalypse. We'll talk about that in just a second, a little bit more. Then Leto falls silent and feels the energy flowing from him. He tells the Horde, stop that foolishness. But it comes out as this gasping hiss. Siona thinks, I think he's finally dead. I think he's dead finally. Oh, finally, God. Duncan says, well, everyone thought he was immortal. And Siona tells him, do you want to know what the oral history says? If you want immortality, then defy form. Whatever has form has mortality. Beyond form is the formless, the immortal. Also true. Duncan's like, did Leto say that? And she's like, yeah, I think so. Duncan again still doesn't get it. He's like, what did he mean about your descendants? I still don't get it. I'm an idiot. I'm Duncan Idaho. She says, I'm the new Atreides. He could not see me in the future. I am different, but still I am what he was. And here's a big bombshell. The multitude is there. I am what he was. I have the memories from my spice trip. The multitude is here, but I walk silently among them and nobody sees me. I don't have to worry about becoming abomination. I can just be here and like nobody's bothering me because they don't even know that I'm there. The old images are gone, and the only essence remains to light his golden path. She takes Duncan's hand and leads him out of the cave and thinks to herself, Idaho is going to require a gentle seduction. What? A fucking bitch. After all that, after I'm not gonna fuck him, fuck you, Leto, I'm not gonna have sex with Duncan, after all that, Leto's dead, and she's like, now I'm gonna fuck him. Like, she's such an asshole. The two start talking about, they start immediately talking shop. They talk about taking over the family biz. Siona is Atreides, so she is set to rule, but Duncan is the leader of the Fish Speaker army. So, I mean, she needs him. Like, they have to rule together. They're in a position where they, you know, one kind of can't exist without the other one. He asks Siona, what did he mean by Arafel? She says, it's in the journals. It's the cloud darkness of holy judgment. So now that Siona and Duncan are going to have a bunch of fucking sex and have tons of babies, there's going to be all these people, all these humans that cannot be tracked by any predictive bullshit. And no matter what weird predictive machine the Ixians make, they can't fuck it up. Like, humanity is now on its own course. It cannot be, Ixians can't fuck it up with a machine, so you don't have to worry about it. Last chapter, Minority Report. So back to the future. So our first chapter of this whole thing was set in the future. So we're going back to that future where the journals have been found at Dar es Balat. Here is a report on the findings of the journals at Dar es Balat. There has been a majority decision to carefully apply screening, editing, and censorship to the journals. So they're not going to, you know, just let the masses have these journals raw dog. You got to censor it, you know, kind of just like the Bible. You know, the Bible's been censored a whole lot and edited. Same thing. The Church of Arrakis and the Holy Reservation of the Divided God does not want to become an attraction for gawking tourists. So now, okay, so in Leto's death, there have been churches that have sprung up. So there's the Church of Arrakis, which Arrakis is now Arrakis, 1,500 years in the future. And the Holy Reservation of the Divided God is another sect of the Divided God is Leto. You know, he was one God and then he became many. And so they don't want this new interest. There's going to be all this new interest in Leto since these like journals are coming out. And so they don't want to become an attraction for gawking tourists. The minority understands that. All of the journals have been translated at this point, and the woman writing this report desires to share the pattern of the Atreides design that she has found within the journals. She wants to share this knowledge with humanity. These journals shed new light on the personal recollections and biographies from Duncan days. I love there's a book called Duncan Days, the Guard Bible. Also the familiar oath in the Empire by the 1,000 sons of Idaho and by the 9 daughters of Siona. So people take these oaths. By the 9 daughters of Siona, I will totally be there at 9. Don't worry about it. Or by the 1,000 sons of Idaho. So, I mean, again, they did get it on. They had at least 9 daughters. And, I mean, Idaho had 1,000 sons because there's, like, lots of Idahos having lots of kids, you know. So, it's like, it's not just that one Duncan. There is also, these new journals shed a lot of light on the cult of Sister Shenoa, who was the Bene Gesserit sister earlier that talked on their peregrination to On. And Leto told her that, like, she was going to die, but that has a special, you know, he wanted to give her a special message to take back and all this stuff. So she does have a cult. It did come true, what he told her. Also, this sheds new light on the church's characterization of Judas Nyla. So Nyla has been cast as Judas. Poor Nyla. She's like, no, I'm not a Judas. I just did what my God told me to do. And also every historical reference to the scattering and the famine times. So, so now that Leto is gone and humanity is no longer in timeout, there will be a scattering. People were just going to go ape shit and just start fucking finding planets. They're just going to fucking get the fuck out and just go crazy. They're just going to scatter. It's going to be crazy. So all of this deserves reevaluation. And this Minority Report is like, what is there to fear? You know, sharing the knowledge is not going to disrupt the existing power structures. Fun fact, in this future, the spice monopoly has been broken by an Ixian navigation machine. So now you can travel through space with a machine. You don't have to go through the guild. You can get your own Ixian navigation machine. So that's huge. And B, the Leilaxu have finally figured out how to create a synthetic spice. So there is a synthetic spice in the mix. So there is no longer a spice monopoly in this future. And the question that this minority has is Leto too lost in his endless dream? Or can he be reawakened to our times, brought to full consciousness as a storehouse of historical accuracy? So these people really want to bring him back and try to, because they know that each of these sandworms on Arrakis has a pearl of his awareness, and they're wondering if there's any way to communicate with these pearls and to get them to like come together and like be able to talk to them. And so we end this book with a quote. We are the fountain of surprises. We are the fountain of surprises now, because there's a bunch of people, because Duncan and Siona did what Leto wanted them to do, which is have a bunch of fucking babies. They did it, and now humanity can just, we're crazy. We're wild. You can't predict us. There's a bunch of us you can't see. Wow. Congratulations. You have finished God Emperor of Dune. Oh my gosh, pat yourselves on the back. Everyone, you did it. This is a crazy book. A lot of people drop off on this book. A lot of people think it's too fucking weird. We did it. Really exciting. Thank you so much for coming with me again on this journey. And also, I hope you guys come back for Heretics of Dune Club coming summer 2022. Yeah, really excited. So, and Heretics takes place in that 1500 year future that we kind of get a little taste of in this book. So we go 1500 years in the future from this event, and you know, it's gonna be wild. There's a lot of fun things to talk about. I can't wait to tell you about chair dogs and futars and everything. There's just so much weird shit and all these new characters. But don't worry, Duncan Idaho is going to be back. We have a cast of all new characters. Otherwise, we got all these new characters. O'Drade's my fave. Miles Tegg's a fucking killer. Like, Shiana's great. Rabella's awesome. I mean, there's just so many good ones. So I cannot wait to see you back for Heretics of Dune Club coming summer 2022. And before we get to Heretics of Dune Club, we're going to be doing Inkle Club this spring. So this is tentatively in March. So also get ready for the Inkle Club. There will be an Inkle box available soon on my web store, danikixix.bigcartel.com. For those of you who want to get on board, we'll be doing a pre-sale pretty soon, so check that out. And I want to thank all of my people on Patreon for helping support this channel and this book club with all of their generosity. Thank you guys so much. You guys are very kind and sweet to me, and I really appreciate it. And without you, we would not be able to continue this journey. So thank you guys so much. And now it is time for questions and answers. We're going to go to our Patreon questions first. If you on YouTube want to check out this questions and answers section, you can come to twitch.tv/DanikaXIX and find this on video on demand. Thank you guys so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to once again guide you through the deserts of Arrakis. Mwah. I will see you next summer.